What do you make to the accusations that by going a bit left-wing on the economy, Nigel Farage is effectively becoming a prototype fascist?
A prototype fascist? I'm sorry. You know that the establishment are absolutely freaking out about the success of the Reform Party when they are resorting to calling the leader of a party that is polling at 30+% a prototype fascist. Wait until you hear Darren absolutely put Iain Dale in his place for such a ludicrous question.
It's not me saying this. Lots of people on my WhatsApps here are saying this. Where you have a sort of nationalist message on international affairs combined with socialist economic policies equals fascism, and there is something in that, isn't there?
What?
No, there isn't. There isn't at all. Frankly, I find that a faintly ridiculous argument. You know, people in this country are angry. They're angry at paying more tax and getting fewer services. They're angry at waiting longer in accident and emergency. They're angry at watching illegal immigrants get better living conditions than our veterans do. And why shouldn't all of those things make people angry? That isn't showing Britain in the throes of fascism. It's actually showing Britain in the throes of an accountability crisis where lazy politicians, quangos running wild, and a blob that's run Britain into the ground. If there is a wider call, a clarion call for Farage to come in and actually throw a spotlight on all of that and free us from the burden of it, then good. It's about time. But that's fairly absurd. You are actually playing, not you yourself, Iain, but the people saying that are playing on people's fears, not Nigel Farage. That is an absurd argument.
The problem is there have been various polls out today showing that Nigel Farage is the most unpopular of the four political leaders. So this narrative that everyone's really unhappy with Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch, when you put Nigel Farage directly up against them, he loses each time.
No. If you look actually at the polling that I've seen out today, it shows that the public believe he represents the working class of this country more than Labour do. It's in the name, the Labour Party. What do Labour represent if not the working man? Well, I tell you what it is. It's religious sectarianism. It's student politics. It's divisiveness of the kind of which Farage is accused. What do Reform stand for? Well, for sovereignty, for security, for sanity, for lowering the burden on the working man, for secure borders, for energy bills that don't make you want to cry. That's not all too much to ask for. Any modern economy such as Britain's ought to be able to do those things. It's not asking for the earth to say that we ought to be at least trying to deliver them. Can you say Sir Keir Starmer or Boris Johnson did? I don't think so.
Okay, Darren Grimes.
So there we go. I mean, I think it's fair to say that Darren absolutely put Iain Dale in his place there and put to bed this absolutely insane idea that Nigel Farage is the equivalent of Hitler. And Darren is absolutely right to say there that that is playing on people's fears. They say Nigel Farage is playing on people's fears by talking about immigration and warning about what the people who come across on the boats could do. They could be terrorists, they could be rapists, and telling us, oh, all your fears are just irrational and racist, and that's Nigel Farage playing on them. No, it's the left that are trying to play on people's fears and trying to make it out as though the 30+% of people in this country who are saying they're going to vote for reform are a bunch of fascists. Okay, I'm sorry, but if you had on the ballot paper Keir Starmer, Kemi Badenoch, and Adolf Hitler, would people vote for Hitler just because they're not satisfied with Kemi Badenoch and Keir Starmer? I'm sorry, no, they wouldn't. Okay, of course there'd be a few idiots that would, but not 30+% of the country. Okay, I think it's an insult to the intelligence of the people of this country and the people voting reform to tell them that they are voting for a prototype fascist. That is insane. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Reason channel with the button down below. But yeah, just talking about that a little bit more, I think that you know, there really is an accountability crisis, as Darren put it there, in this country. That is at the heart of why reform is surging in the polls. That is why they are able to pick up votes, not just from the Tories, but from every single party. They are picking up votes from Labour, from the Lib Dems even. They are picking up votes from all over the place, not just the Tories, because actually, as I said, it's an accountability crisis. It doesn't matter what colour you are and what part of the political spectrum you're on. You see that the two main parties have failed, and you think reform, oh, even if I don't completely agree with what Nigel Farage says, well, at least they're going to do something rather than nothing when they're in power, rather than just lie and run around like headless chickens in Downing Street and Whitehall like the rest of them do. So there's that. And also, they are able to pick up people from all across the political spectrum because having concerns about things like immigration and the consequence that has on housing, NHS places, school places, etc. That's a normal thing for everyone to worry about. But the people who live in their woke little bubble, as Darren said, it's student politics, essentially, what the Labour Party stands for at the moment. People who live in that student politics, woke metropolitan bubble, they think that it's some kind of crazy fascist, racist thing to be worried about immigration. But actually, there are people who are Labour voters, okay, who care about immigration. There are a load of Labour voters in the Red Wall who voted for Brexit, okay, who care, and they voted for Brexit because they care about immigration. They lent their vote to Boris in 2019, and sure, Boris may have got Brexit over the line, but on immigration, I mean, he opened the floodgates, completely failed, right? So they gave the Tories a chance. The Tories absolutely failed, so they've now gone back to the Labour Party, but they're absolutely infuriated with the Labour Party. We've had U-turn after U-turn after U-turn, and as Darren has clearly pointed out there, Labour they don't stand for the working man anymore. They do not stand, I mean, they should just scrap the name Labour Party, because they don't stand for the working man anymore. The working man cares about immigration. The working man cares about sovereignty and doesn't want our decisions and our regulations and our rules to be outsourced to the EU. We've just had this Brexit betrayal deal. We'll be listening to what the ECJ has to say rather than Parliament and our politicians in future. I mean, it's just unbelievable how out of touch politicians are. Yet, you have people like Iain Dale and people in the media establishment, in the political establishment, who just, they don't get it. And they think that all of us supporting reform are genuinely the kind of people who would vote for Adolf Hitler. It is beyond belief. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching. Also, if you're interested in being a contributor for Reason, please send us a 1-minute video about yourself to join@reason.uk and we'll take a look. Thanks for watching.